Scrat, the saber-tooth squirrel, waited until it was very much winter to find a place to bury his one acorn. Also, this stupid prehistoric squirrel only has one acorn for the winter. Also, saber-tooth squirrels never existed. Not off to a good start, movie. How is this thing not already dead? I know it would be kind of dark for this movie for kids to open on a prehistoric squirrel carcass, but I may prefer that to teaching kids that ill-preparedness is hilarious. Movie expects me to believe that ice cracking has a similar behavior to a lit line of gunpowder. Did this second glacier just happen to be falling, or did another dumbass critter serendipitously cause this one to fall at the same time? Scrat is dead. Scrat is dead. No, really, Scrat is dead. I mean, that's totally the end of Scrat, right? I mean, Jesus, I guess I don't have to ever worry about Scrat. I saw a dead squirrel once. May God have mercy on my soul if I figure out whatever monster or Toyota Camry did it.
Why not call it the Big Chew or the Nippy Era?
Because then there would be no naming option for the porn parody of this movie. Also, if there are that many animals, then why the f wasn't Scrat immediately stepped on? The other 99% of the herd seems to just appear out of nowhere.
How do we know it's an ice age?
You wouldn't for two reasons. You, nor anyone you know, would only know the world as it is. Because an ice age lasts for thousands of years, and also these creatures are probably experiencing a glacial period within an ice age, since we are technically still in an ice age today. See? You probably didn't know that. Now you can relate to these armadillo pig-nosed creatures.
No buts! You can play Extinction later.
First of all, this is incredibly morbid. Second of all, with the herd moving like it is, how are these kids able to break away from their parents to play in this tar pit in the first place? Someone sucks at parenting.
If my trunk was that small, I wouldn't draw attention to myself, pal.
Manny perpetuates trunk envy, which in a few thousand years will evolve into something else.
I'm up!
Sid is awakened by Manny's character introduction, and not the herd of animals that has been stomping by for presumably a few hours, because, you know, the plot.
They do this every year.
Sid's family abandons him every year, yet he still manages to find them so they can abandon him again, and he doesn't anticipate it for the next year.
Isn't there anyone who cares about Sid the Sloth?
Sid says his name and species while talking to himself, because nuanced exposition is for suckers. That creature that walks by must have some powerful butthole in order to shoot his fecal matter to that location, because I watched him scuttle by that spot and he did not defecate.
I can't believe it. Fresh wild greens.
These rhino creatures don't seem to be too worried about migrating with the herd, which is great because now they're available to lazily manufacture some conflict. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure this is the first children's movie to ever have literally splattered on a character's face.
No?
Even though these rhinos are super pissed off, they feel the need to give this sloth a head start.
Don't let them impale me!
Do they have very long fingernails that I didn't see? If not, I don't know how they will impale him with a flat shovel and a wishbone for horns.
If either of you make it across that sinkhole in front of you, you get the sloth.
Why would they even be remotely concerned that this is actually a sinkhole? Sid literally just ran over it, and there's plenty of room for them to just walk the f around the not sinkhole. How did they think Manny got over there? Some bull.
You and me, two bachelors knocking about in the wild?
I guess at the Blue Sky pitch meeting for this movie, Michael Wilson just said, "Remember last year when DreamWorks did Shrek? Let's do that, and we can teach kids bad science. Win-win." This sloth is pretty fast. They probably should have just made him a fictional prehistoric ferret or something, instead of making him a notoriously slow creature that moves normally. If the mammoth is Manny the mammoth, this must be Percy the person. Also, collars, hats. These Paleolithic people are very fashion forward.
They quietly tied my hands and feet and they gagged me with a field mouse and barricaded the cave door and covered their tracks, went through water so I'd lose their scent and...
After all that, Sid was able to find them again. His entire family must be as dumb as he is for Sid to be able to track them down after they went through all that trouble. Also, if they did all that last year, then why the hell did Sid's family just leave without doing anything to him this year? And why the f is this year the year he loses his family for good? Manny is able to turn around in his shelter, even though there is no f***ing way he could actually do that. Well, almost nothing has happened so far. Time for Scrat. It's really saying something when the most memorable parts of your movie are the little transitional scenes with a squirrel that have nothing to do with the actual plot of the movie. How did he not see or hear the mom approaching in a tent? There seemed to only be 4 men in this camp, which might be a problem if there weren't just 4 saber-tooth cats. It's literally unbelievable this saber-tooth tiger hasn't caught up to this woman running with a baby yet.
And then she picked this hair off my shoulder and says, look, if you're gonna have an extra mating dance, at least pick a female with the same color pelt.
That's racist. The director said, let's have your character eat an apple. It'll make him look like even more of an asshole. Okay, she's alive, but the baby is definitely dead. What the f***? The baby survived that fall and subsequent churning of the waterfall? Mammoth human understanding.
Listen very carefully. I'm not going.
And he enunciates through his nose.
Fine, I'm gonna die.
This seems like an unnecessary way to get this child back to its people. Even though it would take longer, they could just walk. Baby giggles through a perilous situation cliche. What kind of bullshit is this? You mean he somehow tracked where the baby was downriver? Literal slapstick.
Well, unless you know how to track, You're never gonna reach them before the pass closes up with snow.
Why is knowing how to track a factor? Manny just pointed to where they need to go. Sight seems to be the only necessary trait for this journey.
Poor Taggy Waggy.
Sid? Tiggy Wiggy's gonna lead the way.
Manny withholds his plan, which creates this awkward moment that I think is supposed to be funny.
I suggest you watch your back, 'cause I'll be chewing on it.
Watching it won't do him much good at that point.
I've eaten things that didn't complain this much.
I would hope that the things Diego eats wouldn't complain, because they would be already dead.
Hey, he's wearing one of those baby thingies.
Manny has a pretty solid grasp of the English language, but doesn't know the word diaper.
Check for poop.
I think the entire screenplay was written around this one line. Hey Bill, did we animate any characters getting on their face? Not sure, Tom, better throw some on the mammoth just in case.
It's clean.
There was no way that was clean. He clearly hasn't been changed in over 24 hours. Disney very famously animates characters to be as cute as possible. Fox, on the other hand, is like, nah.
Where's the baby? There he is!
Is Peekaboo a game that saber-tooth cats commonly play? I don't remember seeing that at the Museum of Natural History.
I bet he's hungry.
How are they not all hungry? I don't think any of them have eaten in days. Dodos were not anywhere near North America. They were pretty much stuck on one island in the Indian Ocean. Also, 99% of the species that have existed on Earth are extinct, yet the dodo has this reputation for being insanely stupid. Mammoths are extinct also, but Manny isn't hopping around acting like a fool.
Hey, can we have our melon back?
Since when was this ever your melon? How did they all know at the same time that Sid was trying to steal another melon? They might be dumb, but they have a keen sense of when someone is touching their melons. This watermelon dodo sequence with its music and madcap hijinks feels like it should be delightful, but it's not.
Ah, Sid.
Diego has no idea how watermelons work.
I'm so full.
Sid is full from eating a little bit of watermelon after not eating for an extended time. Diego can smell when someone has finally gone to sleep, apparently.
Tracking down helpless infants too difficult for you?
So, have they been following them this whole time? Or did the movie just decide for them to apparate here so they could have this conversation that reminds us that Diego is still a bad guy?
Soto's getting tired of waiting.
Why can't Soto hunt down this baby by himself? I'll never understand these villains who really want something, then leave it up to others to get it for them. Sid and the Floozies use a tar pit, a natural phenomenon that notoriously trapped and killed prehistoric animals, as a jacuzzi. Also, the whole point of this movie is that Sid got left behind and Manny decided not to migrate with the rest of the animals. So how the f*** did Sid run into two female sloths in this general vicinity? Baby's eyes have tar repellent powers. Also, the baby would totally be dead at this point, and Sid and his lady friends would be close behind.
Manny, I need him.
To do what exactly? They already know you have him. His presence would just be awkward if your relationship with these sloth women went any further. How did these rhinos suddenly show up out of the blue? Haven't our heroes traveled some distance in some terrain that would be impossible for these assholes to suddenly happen upon their camp?
Hey, does this look like a petting zoo to you?
Hey, have you ever seen a petting zoo? Or a zoo, period?
3, 2, 1. Sure is faithful.
Why the f*** would Sid choose to lay here? I guess it was the only feasible way to reveal that this is Old Faithful, giving us context of their location, even though that completely screws with the fact that we saw dodo birds earlier who were indigenous to the islands in the Indian Ocean. The f***? Sid picks up a somehow already completed snowball.
Modern architecture.
Manny knows about architecture, but he doesn't know about diapers. During the Ice Age, snow didn't stick to animal fur. Who knew? Diego wastes his time by covering up a footprint that he could claim as his own, and then wastes his time some more by making a single four-toed human footprint in the snow, because fake seeing a lone human footprint in the snow doesn't immediately raise suspicion. You know, because prehistoric humans have such epically long strides. Aren't they on a time crunch? Didn't someone say earlier?
Well, unless you know how to track, you're never gonna reach them before the pass closes up with snow.
Yet they decided to take this time to ice skate. Where the hell is the threshold on an animal being able to speak English? Or can the squirrel actually speak English, but he just prefers to communicate with charades, because he knows charades just as well as the rest of our characters can speak English?
Noses?
Pachyderm.
Pack of lies.
Manny decides to be as unobservant as Sid in this moment. Based on his anatomy, making and throwing a snowball should be very difficult for Manny, yet he's able to produce and throw this boulder-sized snowball.
Move, sloth!
Movie perpetuates myth that slight yelling can cause large sheets of ice to crumble. The group is concerned about this chandelier of icicles, even though the area they are standing in is this big. The ice from earlier looks a lot like rocks now. It was nice of this cave to freeze in the shape of a natural history museum. Also, aren't we going to do a whole Dawn of the Dinosaurs story later? Who the hell is this guy? Hey, nice sloth evolutionary chart. I wonder who's alive millions of years to collect all these guys and piece this all together. Movie goes to the trouble to reference Star Trek, but gives us a generic-ass flying saucer instead of any of the thousands of ships in that universe as a reference. Wasn't the baby ahead of them? How the f*** did the baby survive the room of ice spikes? Also, it's convenient that this ice froze in a fun slide formation. Manny is behind the baby when he launches into the air, and then suddenly he's in front of the baby so he can be caught.
Who's up for round 2?
Diego stole Sid's line. Or maybe Sid's irritating demeanor is like an airborne illness. Manny is almost to the exit of the cave. Then, in no time, he's back with Sid and Diego looking at the painting. Manny may secretly be the fastest animal in whatever fantasy version of the world they are in. Backstory cave painting. They would have just done a standard flashback, but that would be too expensive to animate. Yeah, but for this scenario to occur, Manny would have to live in a world where death is possible. Did Diego and Sid see that animation also? They seem to know why Manny is upset. Did the cavemen draw a touching portrait of a loving mammoth family before killing 2/3 of it? That's some dark man. Hypothermia must be completely psychological, because Percy here seems just fine. Also, was it not possible for this era of man to grow a full beard? Because I feel like the 5 o'clock shadow look isn't entirely plausible here. Well, I guess they just couldn't get through this without a volcano erupting, huh? It's like Roland Emmerich, or the 10 robots who copied Roland Emmerich on San Andreas consulted on this movie. I'm able to look past some of the scientific inaccuracies of this movie, but the last time I checked, the melting point of ice is significantly lower than the melting point of rocks. If the rocks are hot enough to be lava, how the f*** is there any ice anywhere near it? I'm starting to think the animators of this movie did their research by playing the Bowser levels of Super Mario. Manny's trunk was extended as far as it could go, but it still has enough length to reach out for Diego as he's falling down, and has enough strength to grab a freaking tiger out of midair. Convenient and possibly life-saving geyser is convenient.
No one touches the mammoth until I get that baby.
It's going to be a lot easier for them to get the baby if the mammoth isn't in the way. You can still eat it as popcorn. Why is this bad? Really? How could he keep the skis on while he walked? How was he able to jump out of the snow with 2 sticks on his legs? I thought this movie wasn't drying the whole time, but now I really know what not drying looks like. Just this whole part. Sid brings the baby over to where he knows the sabers are. They are starving, but they just saw the mammoth get lucky and kill their leader with some icicles, and they don't want to chance it because who knows if there are more icicles. Between this moment and the moment earlier with the impossible lava river, movie has one too many death fake-out scenes. This baby seems to know what's going on. This tense moment is brought to you by no f***ing reason. Why would you hide the baby and allow a hunter time to kill you before you made your dramatic reveal? I mean, come on, seriously. I've seen this woolly mammoth talk, have human emotions, and have the capacity to solve problems, and it still might be the stupidest woolly mammoth that has ever lived. Yeah, stop! He's just making a dramatic reveal of my baby! We are fools! None of the humans are surprised that the sloth can pick up and hug a baby like a person. Also, interspecies hugging. Okay, see these happy humans walking in the distance here? Now the baby plays peekaboo and Sid somehow sees it. Fine. But the sin here is after another 20 seconds of walking, f***ing Diego can see it too.
You know humans can't talk.
Yeah, but at least we actually learn how to talk. You and your ancestors never do.
This is gonna be the best migration ever. I'm telling you.
Blue Sky paid for this f***ing song, so they are gonna get their money's worth. Even if this piece of ice with Scrat in it broke off very recently, how could it survive that long in the tropics? That's not how deserted islands work. We spend 2 minutes with this f***ing rat even though the movie is already ended.
I'm ridiculous. Like a booger, I stick to this.
You see, I shall never be king.
Dingo's got the baby! The dingo's got my baby!
You know what else everybody like? Parfaits. Have you ever met a person you say, hey, let's get some parfaits? They say, hell no, I don't like no parfaits. Parfaits are delicious.
Y'all get a Peter Pan right here off of this dam, right here.
What's going on? Where are we?
The interchange. Roll to your right, hard.
Good.
But extremely juicy.
I told you to knock it off!
Easy action.
Go to him.
Look at that. Our little guy's growing up.
You know what, big boy? You're grown up. You're grown up. Yeah, I did that. Is this a fucking protection for you? Because you're grown up and you're grown up and you're grown up.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!